It's the Tomahawk Take on WPGY, the Sports Pig.
All right, so your Tomahawk Take, again, presented by your friends at Northside Hospital, Cherokee. I'm here with the Golden Boy, our Braves insider, Will Cooper. Braves, again, taking 2-3 from the Phils over the weekend. The Tigers in town for a 3-game set starting tonight, and then it's out to Colorado. But, Coop, again, the first team in Major League Baseball to reach 20 wins this year. The Braves did that, of course, on Sunday after that outstanding Chris Sale outing, who's been pretty phenomenal for the most part throughout the season there. The Phillies and Mets, meanwhile, continue to kind of tank, and it's always nice to see. But, again, lay it on us right here, man. Your thoughts here now as we progress closer to May.
Hey, a 13-game stretch in a row with NL East opponents went 10-3, including a sweep of the Phillies in there when we were in Philadelphia, at the beginning of last week. It was a fantastic stretch for the Braves, man. I mean, they really haven't had a bad stretch. If you want to say there's a time they were down, it might have been the Royals Athletics when they were in town to start the season.
Yeah.
But to me, they won in a variety of environments. They went to Philadelphia and it was cold, and then went to Washington and it was cold, and then they get to come back to Atlanta where the heat was on, and thankfully none of it really changed. J.C. Ritchie is a prospect that we had kind of talked about a little bit at the beginning of the year as somebody that could make an appearance. He comes up, and despite giving up a couple of solo blasts, gives up a really good performance, 6 innings. I mean, stuff is really good. And I think the other thing that we've kind of seen is that Acuña seems to be turning a little bit of a corner finally.
Yes, finally.
The last 2 games against Philadelphia have been very encouraging for him. Austin Riley's still pretty down, and we're still the best team in baseball right now, arguably.
Right.
And we're going to get Sean Murphy back within the week. Spencer Strider should be back this weekend. So, and by the way, for any fans that are out there, Spencer Strider's fastball in Rome at his last outing touched 99. So the velocity is back. It's obviously not 101 like it was, but we'll live with 99. That dog will hunt.
Yeah.
So I think the Braves don't really show any signs of slowing. Even when we see regression like Mauricio Dubon, his average has dropped 60 points over the last week, which is expected. But when his drops, Michael Harris is now batting 340. And by the way, one last point on this. If you're like me, up until last year, and you were like, you know what, Freddie Freeman's the better first baseman than Matt Olson, we got to let that go collectively as a city, as a fan base. It's not true anymore. It might have been true the first couple of years, but from here on out, man, Matt Olson is such a more valuable asset in this lineup than Freddie would be at this point in his career. Credit to the Braves front office. They've done it again. And, until they do something stupid, I think we just got to kind of trust that they know what they're going to do, even if we don't love it as fans.
Right. Well, and I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? I mean, through the first 25 games, again, the Braves are the only team in Major League Baseball history to have a plus 50 or better run differential. I think they're over 60 something right now. 30-plus home runs.
I think.
67, yeah. 30-plus home runs, 200-plus strikeouts, pitching strikeouts, knock on wood, 0 blown saves. Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep that pace up, obviously. But yeah, the one team that's been able to achieve that in history is your 2026 Atlanta Braves. So, again, it's hard to really argue anything. And I'm sure one of the most comfortable or guys, I'd say comfortable is not the right word, but one of the guys in the lineup right now that's loving it probably more than anybody is Austin Riley, because he's not facing a lot of criticism right now simply because the team is playing so well. I think he's hovering right around 215 or so. But I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, obviously he'll get going, as you said. The ball, and you said it the last time you were on here, the ball's falling in the glove. It's just not falling on the field yet, but it will. So, again, even when you're hitting the ball well, you're not always finding the holes, and I think eventually Riley will do that. But to your point, and I want to drill down a little bit more with this pitching staff, because Didier Fuentes did get recalled. He's back up as well. You talked about Strider. I had the opportunity Sunday to go to the game radio affiliate day. So we got to go down to the field. We got our picture taken with Grant Holmes, and also I believe Schwellenbach was down there as well. Another guy, hopefully, that'll return at some point. But, it seems like you're starting to get some guys potentially back that will hopefully make this team even bigger and better, particularly for a long-term run that'll take them, hopefully well past the All-Star break and into the fall.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we were kind of talking about in spring training and what I was warning people is don't get too upset about the first couple of months of the season because, we may be well below 500, but it's about who we're getting back throughout the year.
Right, yeah.
Who would have ever thought that Mauricio Dubon would be batting 270? Whoever thought that Jorge Mateo would be batting 300?
Right, yeah.
Some of the Dom Smith, I mean, some of the stuff that nobody could have predicted.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you. And I think the other part of it is that the rotation, because there were 5 starting pitchers that were hurt, were arguably better than the 5 starting that we have on the field right now.
Right.
And that's a dangerous setup when you know that Bryce Elder, Chris Sale, and then everybody else can be switched to the pen. Like they switched Reynaldo Lopez, so now there's J.C. Ritchie in that slot. Right. Didier Fuentes could arguably make that spot instead of Martin Perez.
Yeah.
But that's a Schwellenbach, A.J. Smith-Shawver, somebody there.
Right.
And then Grant Holmes has I don't know if he's made his way into the rotation. I mean, just above a 3 ERA, but I mean, they're really good. And I think the other thing is Raisel Iglesias has been hurt.
Yeah.
Would you ever know it? The only time you would have known it was in that second game against Philadelphia when they brought in the lesser Suarez.
Yeah.
Or the greater Suarez if we're talking about BMI.
Right.
Compared to, that would be a spot that you'd see Raisel Iglesias pitch. So I thought that it was overall, they're doing well. They're managing injuries. And again, this lineup isn't done either because as much as it hurts to see Jonah Heim rolled out there once every 3 days, that's going to be Sean Murphy's spot.
Right. Correct. Yeah. And the biggest thing that I've noticed about this team, we're talking about Mauricio Dubon, who would have known that he would have brought the bat that he has, but he's been playing in left field a lot. They've been platooning him out there a lot, which has kind of opened things up. The other part of that, too, is, Ha-Seong Kim's going to come back at some point. So now all of a sudden you've got him platooning with Mateo at short, presumably, because you're going to have a log jam there of about 3 guys, but I think Dubon has kind of found a little bit of a home in left field and is kind of, with the bat that he's brought and everything, he's a guy that really can play all over the field. And so you definitely have the luxury of versatility if you're the Atlanta Braves right now in your lineup to be able to move these guys around, to be able to have them in the batting order. You know what I mean? It's a great problem to have.
Yeah, because to be honest, it's a little hard to watch Yaz rolled out there every day.
Yeah.
And obviously Michael Harris has been a little banged up, so we've seen a little bit of Eli White in center field, including
we saw that Sunday,
slip and fall during Saturday's loss. So having Michael Harris, and then you feel pretty good about Dubon in left, and then at shortstop, that's Ha-Seong Kim's spot, and he should be back sometime in May.
Yeah. Right.
So doing simulated games, batting practice, that whole thing. So, need a couple of weeks of rehabilitation in the lower levels. But once that lineup is put back together like that, I mean, your 9-hole hitter is going to be Ha-Seong Kim, I guess.
Right,
maybe?
yeah. I mean, you're going to have a pretty good bat. You're going to have some good bats even at the bottom of the lineup there. So things certainly looking up for the Braves. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going. Again, that is your Tomahawk Take here on a Tuesday, presented by your friends at Northside Hospital, Cherokee.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, where hot takes meet hot mics.